Hello, good morning. I hope that everyone is well. Before I start talking about needlework, I would just like to take this opportunity to say a huge thank you to everyone that commented on Bertie, that sent him get well wishes. He's done really well this week. On Sunday he had a massive molt and I was hoovering up fur everywhere, and I think that was the shock coming out in him. But the whole week he's just got better and better, and you could see the cuts and the wounds healing. And yesterday he had his stitches out. The vet was really pleased with his progress. And so much so that last night I took him out for a proper walk. But we had a little bit of a funny incident when we were out walking. I was a little bit late setting off for the walk, and I realised that I was going to be walking whilst a sampler was coming up for auction. So I put my alarm on my phone to remind me. And off we went, and we were walking along, and the alarm went off. So I pulled my phone out of my pocket, and I was looking at it as I was walking, and Bertie was walking to heel alongside me, and I was focusing on my phone, and all of a sudden Bertie took off, and I was probably a little bit slow, because by the time I realised that he had literally just taken off, and I whistled after him, because the wind was blowing against me, that took my voice or my whistle away from Bertie. He didn't hear me, and he was picking up pace. So, and this is really unusual for Bertie. So I started running behind him, and he can run a lot faster than me. So I was running. I had to run along a lane, through a gate, across a field, through another gate, over a stone wall, along a built-up wooden walkway over sort of a marshy area. And I realised that I was going to miss this auction. So as I was running, I was trying to bid on this sampler, and I managed to put my bid in, and I closed my phone and really focused on catching Bertie. And I did catch up with him in the very next field, and there he was playing with one of his best friends, Gilly, a black Labrador. And I think that what had happened, because the wind was blowing against us, the wind was blowing Gilly's scent, and Bertie had picked up on his scent, and he knew exactly where to go. And there they were so happy to see each other. They hadn't seen each other because of Bertie's injury. So, all's well that ends well. I'm surprised I didn't have a heart attack running like that. I've never been one for running. I've always been a walker. So they had a lovely play, and about 20 minutes later, off I set on my walk, and Gilly and his mummy went on as well. And I opened up my phone, activated my screen, and I was expecting to see that, I'd lost the sampler. I couldn't believe it. I'd actually won the sampler. So Ray says now that I can buy a sampler anywhere, even when I'm running through a field in hot pursuit of Bertie. Anyway, it just maybe goes to show that if a sampler is meant for you, it will come to you. When that sampler is charted and ready for release, I'll remind you of how I came to purchase the sampler. Anyway, this week we've had to deal with an oil leak on our oil tank, which was quite stressful. And then yesterday the power steering went on my car. And fortunately, Ray, who was driving it, was just getting to the end of our driveway, so we managed to get it back. And this morning, the Land Rover technician is coming to see what needs to be done. I expect it's going to have to go into the garage, but it's not a big deal. I don't really use my car that much, so Bertie and I are walkers. So that's what's been happening in my personal life. stitching wise, I haven't had much time to stitch, but the time I have had, I have been working on Heather M. Jardine. This sampler is so addictive and I'm getting so much joy working on her. Now, I've finished stitching in the bottom panel what I want to stitch now. I've got to decide on what date I'm going to put and what initials I'm putting here and what name across the bottom. So now I've gone to the top rows and I'm filling in the alphabets using the colours from the bottom panel. I'm hoping that probably another 2 good stitching sessions and this will be complete. Other people have been posting their heathers this week and I really adored seeing one version where the needleworker had stitched Paddington Bear instead of the teddy bear, and it's beautiful. It's amazing what she has done. So if you would like to see that, pop into the Anne Morrison Stitch Along group on Facebook. Remember, Morrison only has one R. And you'll see Paddington. I just thought that was a great idea. For my generation and my son's generation, it was all about Paddington Bear, Winnie the Pooh and Rupert Bear in the UK. It's been really lovely seeing how creative people are being with their heathers. And do you know what? I think that when you have a chance to be creative and to experiment, you grow as a needleworker. And I've really enjoyed having the freedom to do my own thing on heather. When I stitch, I'm normally stitching models and I have to keep absolutely true to the original sampler that we're reproducing. So heather's been a really nice break for me, but I do feel as if I'm playing truant, and as soon as she's finished I must go back to my model, which I was really enjoying stitching as well. Talking about stitching and being creative, this week a needleworker sent me a photograph of her finish of Agnes' husband, and the lady had finished Agnes into a needle roll, and it's a beautiful needle roll as well, and I thought that was so creative. And you know, Agnes is perfect as a needle roll. She's the right shape and size for that. I also had an email from Eleanor about Agnes. Eleanor had told me a little while ago that her and her husband were due to visit Wigton, where Agnes lived, and Wigton is very renowned for its second-hand bookstores. It's known as a book town. So when they were there, they very kindly went to the graveyard to look for Agnes's grave for me. And Eleanor said that it's only a small graveyard, and she went one way and her husband went the other way, and very quickly her husband found the headstone. And as you can see, the headstone is reminiscent of the sampler. There are a lot of family members recorded on this headstone, just the same way that Agnes recorded her family members on her little sampler. Her mother and father are there, and many of her brothers and sisters. Now, I don't think that all of them could be in the same grave, because there would be just too many of them. But if you look closely at the inscription on the headstone, it appears that 3 of her brothers died in foreign countries, Australia, the Philippines, and I believe California. So maybe their bodies aren't actually in the grave, maybe they're just there to commemorate and to remember them by. But I just thought, they were obviously a family that stayed together, and that headstone is so in keeping with this little sampler as well. I like to know about these girls, and I like to sort of try and find them, and follow them from you know, cradle to grave. It's nice to have a full story. Well, we don't ever have a full story, but it's nice to know what their journey through life was. Now, I popped this little sampler on my easel purely because Agnes looked very lonely there by herself. This is Elizabeth Fitch, and Elizabeth was stitched in 1797, and she comes from Suffolk. When you look at that sampler, you might think Norfolk, but it's actually Suffolk, which, you know, is the neighbouring county. And actually, I believe that Elizabeth Fitch just lived inside the border of the county, so you can see the Norfolk influence in that sampler. That will be a little gem that will come out sometime in the near future. This week, I put up a poll in the Jane Fiddis Stitch Along, and I raised the same questions on the Hands Across the Sea Samplers Instagram page. We wanted to hear your views about booklets versus PDFs and colour charts versus black and white charts, and it's very interesting to see the comments and how people have voted in the poll, and our customers' views are very, very important to us. We make the samplers that we reproduce available to you because we want you to enjoy them and to stitch them, and we want to make those samplers available in a format that works for you, and we also realise that you can't please everybody all of the time. So whilst before lockdown we were very focused on printed booklets, and you know, we say, oh no, PDFs aren't for Hands Across the Sea samplers. We have learnt during lockdown that PDFs are very, very popular, and PDFs make our designs available to a lot of people that either can't afford the booklets or because of where they live can't access the booklets easily. And we've also realised that a lot of people like to stitch digitally off their phones and their tablets and their PCs and their computer screens. So we're very grateful for everybody who took the time to answer our questions, and we will endeavour to please as many people as we can and to cater for everybody. And that's made us realise that we cannot go solely booklets and we cannot go solely PDFs, but we need to have a cross-section through our designs of printed booklets and PDFs. The printed booklets will always be a huge part of who Hands Across the Sea samplers are, and printed booklets will only ever be colour. It's not practical for us to offer colour and black and white printed booklets. It's just not feasible. But with PDFs actually give us unlimited options, and we can offer colour, we can offer black and white, we can offer multi-page, we can offer one page, all in one package. And PDFs do give us a lot more options. So we are going to carry on for now with both formats, but I can say that, you know, booklets are very, very important to us. We love the booklets. We love having them on our bookshelves, and we love putting them together as well. So we will be having a new release very shortly, and that release is going to be a PDF. It's going to be a PDF with a little bit of a twist, and then the release after that will be some printed booklets, and we're going to mix things up. So that's something for you to look forward to. Shopping wise, well, I haven't really done much shopping other than my sampler yesterday, but I did order something, and on Facebook and Instagram, I don't know if it's like this in your newsfeed, but I get all these adverts popping up, and it seems to be that if you click on one advert, then you just keep on getting more and more. This week an advert popped up from craftvanity.com. So craftvanity is one word.com. So they have a picture on there of this really lovely pair of scissors, and I thought, oh gosh, those look lovely, let's have a look. Well, when I went in, I realised by reading the description that they were not embroidery scissors, they were craft scissors, but they were only £9 and they're gorgeous. Look at those. You know, they're huge, they're craft scissors. You know, these are for cutting out paper and various other different craft projects, but they are so pretty. So I thought, well, I'm going to have those for £9 because they look nice with my scissor collection. And I do when I have time, crafts, and my existing craft scissors are a little bit blunt. You can see how I justify things. Well, when I was looking, there were two other pairs of scissors that I really liked. The other was a pair of craft scissors. You could use them for embroidery, but they're a bit chunky for that. Betty, I know you want to go out. There they are. Very pretty, and they sit very nice in the hand actually, but the blades are very small. And they came well wrapped in this little plastic container. And then the third pair of scissors I've got, these scissors were either £9 or under, they weren't very expensive. These are embroidery scissors, and they're very pretty actually. There they are. And there's a nice little cut on these. So I will use these for embroidery, and because they're not very expensive, I don't feel anxious about using them. When I use my expensive ones, I do worry in our house because we have a stone floor in our sort of family room. We designed the room so that we could keep it clean with our dogs. And sometimes when I stand up, I forget my scissors on my lap and they drop on the stone floor and they get damaged. But inexpensive scissors, you know, you don't have to be paranoid about using them. So I need now to find a nice scissor fob to go on those, and then I'll start using them. Craft Vanity, I'd never heard of them before, dealt with them, but they were very good. They communicated very well. I placed my order at night. Had an instant email acknowledging the order. The next day I had an email thanking me for the order, and within a very short time that day there was an email advising me that the products had been dispatched, and the following day they were received. They were well packaged as well. So you might enjoy having a look at their site. There's not a huge number of products on there, but what they have got is quite nice. They have some really adorable little pin cushions, and little pin cushions with where you can pop your scissors in as well. They are quite sweet. Now, I was going to tell you, oh yes, I mentioned that our family room was suitable for dogs. Well, we always used to have dogs. Bertie is, you know, he's 4 now, and it's so unusual for us not to have 2 dogs. And I've been umming and ahhing for a little while now about a companion for Bertie. And Bertie is so sweet-natured. You know, he is the most beautiful dogs inside, as well as being handsome on the outside. So we've decided that now's the time for us to get a second dog, so that Bertie is young enough to enjoy his companion, and he can pass on hopefully all his lovely ways to the next puppy. So we want to keep Bertie's bloodline, so we're going to have either a puppy from his father, from him, or from his brother, and the breeder of his father's owner, she won't be using, look at all this fur coming out from his molt, she won't be using his father until next summer, but she might use Bertie, his mother's owner has his full brother, and his mother was spayed after her second litter, so there'll be no more puppies from her, but they may use Bertie's brother as a stud dog. So hopefully next summer we will have a new addition to our family. I know it sounds a long way off, but we really would like to keep Bertie's bloodline through him, his father or his brother. I think that with a new puppy there's not going to be much time for needlework, but you know, animals are very, very important to us, and Bertie is our best friend. So yeah, that's an exciting thing to look forward to, and it's been a decision that we have sort of come to after very serious thought. Okie dokie, I think really that's probably about it for this week. I better go and take this in. I have got another sampler to show you, and because I want my videos to have an educational aspect to them, I'm going to share Alice Williams with you. Now, Alice is a very sweet little sampler, almost a primer you would say, and I loved this sampler because of the verse. Idleness is the thief of time, and how true that is. That's one of the sayings that my nana used to quote, and I've always lived my life, you know, if there's something to be done, get it done. Don't put off till tomorrow what you can do today. And I'm very rarely idle. So that's what attracted me to the sampler. But when the sampler came, I realised that it had been stitched in a variegated thread. And, you know, all the colours in this sampler are variegated, and I don't know if you can see that, if the camera's actually picking that up. So I've been talking to some people this week about variegated thread. This sampler was stitched in 1881, and you know, really variegated thread, I didn't know it was around then, and I don't think it was around then. So in my discussions with some other people, we wondered if Alice had actually switched colours throughout the sampler to create a variegated effect, which we thought would have been not probable and very time consuming, but the only way to check that was to take the sampler out of the frame, and she was stuck down, and I very, very gently eased her off the board, and you can actually see here, and I think it shows best in this wave, that is a variegated thread. Now, if it was just one colour, you would think that was just, you know, where it wasn't dyed properly, you know, the dye wasn't fixed, and it just, you know, was one of those things. But it's not in one colour, it is in all the colours. So this little sampler is a little bit of a mystery, but it is really very, very genuine, you know, age-wise. When you look at this linen, when you feel the sampler, there is no reason to doubt that it isn't from 1881. So I wanted to share that with you. You know, you think you know it all, and then something pops out of the woodwork and surprises you. I love this little sampler, and we're going to have this stitched up, and we'll release this as a little gem. You know, idleness is the thief of time. I have emails from people asking me questions all the time, and one of the questions I was asked a little while ago was about time management. How do you manage your time? Well, I'm the sort of person that once I get up, I don't stop until I go to bed. I'm not the sort of person that would sit and watch TV or even sit downstairs reading a book. If I want to read a book, I listen to a book as I stitch, and my reading time is just, sort of like 15-20 minutes when I get in bed at night, just to wind me down, because I'm like a dynamo all day. I just think that I cram a lot into my day. There's a lot I want to do, and I'm very conscious that the clock is ticking, and I must do what I want to do, what I want to achieve in my life now, while I have the health and the energy to do that. And I hope that everybody has a good week ahead, and in next weekend's video we should have a new release to show you. Thank you as always for listening to me. Stay well, stay safe. Bye.